Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Max Story.
Hello, and thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. So today I want to talk to you about the other AI. Everybody out there is talking about artificial intelligence, but I want to talk about the other AI, authentic influence. And just last week, I released a newsletter on LinkedIn about this same topic. So I wanted to take some time today, record this podcast. In case you're not a reader of my newsletter, I want to share that same information with you here. Maybe you'll find some value in it. But in a world where AI, artificial intelligence, is reshaping trades and other blue-collar jobs faster than most realize, the real game changer isn't just tech. It's the other AI, authentic influence. You need to be learning about artificial intelligence, but you also need to be developing your authentic influence. And that's what today's episode's about. Wakeman, she says, change is hard only for the unready. In other words, if you're ready, change ain't going to be hard. If you're not ready, change is going to be real hard. But those ready to thrive aren't waiting for promotions or titles. They're building trust-based influence from the front lines through character, competency, and action. Those are three things that'll separate you from the crowd. Number one being your character. But you got to have competency and you got to take action. But your character is going to determine what competency you develop, how much you develop, how deep and wide that development goes. And then your character is also going to determine if you act, when you act, how you act, why you act, all that stuff. So character is the key. As John Maxwell says, people who want to be effective are willing to do what others won't. And that willingness earns resources, promotions, and the ability to make a real impact. So in today's episode, you're going to discover how developing authentic influence, the other AI, through trust earned, not demanded, makes you indispensable. Boosts your value, accelerates career options, and helps you lead 360 degrees from wherever you're at, whatever industry you're at, whatever level you're at, with or without a formal position of authority. You may be the boss, but you don't have to be the boss. Doesn't matter if you're working in manufacturing, some of the skilled trades, warehousing, public works, doesn't make any difference. There's a endless number of blue-collar jobs out there. Many different industries. The greater your authentic influence, the greater your life's going to be. The more options you're going to have, the more freedom you're going to have. But don't get left behind by the tech wave. Rise above it by becoming a high impact player leaders can't afford to lose. That's when you're winning right there. When you become a high impact player, leaders don't want you to go. Other leaders want to steal you away, maybe in the same company, maybe in a different company. You start doing that, you're going to be climbing that. If you want to, you'll be climbing that corporate ladder, being offered higher level positions, and you'll definitely be climbing that corporate pay scale, regardless whether you change positions or stay in the same positions or go to another company. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and I hope you start building your authentic influence at a greater level after listening. And if you don't know how, go back and listen. I got nearly 500 episodes. All of my episodes are helping you in some way to develop your authentic influence. So today what I'm going to talk about today what I'm going to talk about in this episode is just a tad, not much, on the AI that everybody's talking about, artificial intelligence. Not too much on that because that's not what I'm here to talk about, but I will mention it. I'm going to talk about the other AI, that I've been talking about already, authentic influence. That's the primary component of this episode. I'm going to talk about defining authentic influence, the other AI in leadership. I'm going to talk about 3 traits to help you become indispensable and highly valuable. I'm going to talk about how authentic influence enhances your value in blue-collar industries. And then at the end, I'll provide you a few resources to help you develop a high degree of authentic influence if you want to become very focused and intentional about it. I'll share some resources. So let's dive into today's episode and start off with a little bit about artificial intelligence, the AI that everybody's talking about these days. But more and more people in the trades are talking about AI, artificial intelligence these days, and how it's going to be impacting nearly everything in some way. And it is. It's going to take jobs. It's already taking jobs. It's going to take a lot more jobs, especially when you start talking about not only AI, but robotics and that sort of stuff. There's some amazing things out there. And there's a lot of people in the dark that they don't even know what's coming because they ain't doing their research. They ain't paying attention. A lot of folks in blue-collar industries think, oh, it's just going to be the white-collar jobs, the office jobs. Keep thinking that. That ain't the reality. Anyway, there's no doubt this type of AI is coming for many white-collar jobs. But blue-collar jobs will also be impacted more and more as time passes. Different industries will be impacted at different speeds and in different ways. Change is coming. There ain't no doubt about it. And I'll share that quote again with you. I shared in the opening from Wakeman. Change is hard only for the unready. So you can learn to leverage change, embrace change, lead change, and you'll become highly valuable. Or you can decide to resist change and you'll be disposed of. You won't have a whole lot of value in the companies that are actually going and growing. And you may be, a lot of people want to stay in a company that ain't changing, staying, doing things the old way. That's all right for a while. Then you get passed up and left behind. Then you don't have a job. Then that company's out of business and somebody else is making it happen. I always tell people, make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. That's what I'm talking about. Somebody's going to make it happen. It ain't going to be those folks resisting change. They ain't going to make a whole lot happen. They ain't going to have a whole lot of value. But I highly recommend you dive into this episode. You think about the other AI, authentic influence, but also recommend you to develop your competency relative to AI in your industry and robotics. You ain't got to dive into it and become someone who teaches it, who makes it happen, all that sort of stuff. Just become aware. Go out in the universe and dive in. I recommend, you find out a lot on YouTube. If you on X, formerly Twitter, you go in there and find some stuff. That's where you're going to get the most stuff. Got everybody from every angle talking about it on X. A lot of the other platforms, they only share or highlight kind of the things they want you to see. But if you go on X, both sides of everything's on there. You still got to do your homework. You still got to do your research. You still got to figure out what's real and what ain't real and all that, like any other social media. But the thing about X, that I like about X is you can find out the truth, whatever that is. Current events, anything you want to know about, you can find it on there. And actually, you can find out a lot of stuff you don't want to know about on X. So beware. But if you ain't on X and you want to learn about AI and robotics and that kind of stuff, which I'm talking about today, it's all over the place on there. Great resource. But if you don't do these things, and let me say, the sooner the better. But if you don't expect to be left behind by those who do. So I want to share a quote with you from John Maxwell. He says, people who want to be effective are willing to do what others won't. And because of that, their leaders are willing to resource them, promote them, and be influenced with an ED by them. And That's what we're about to dive into. That's why you want to develop your authentic influence, the other AI, because you want to influence the boss, the leaders in your organization. Most people are frustrated because they don't have any influence with those folks. But you can develop it if you're willing to pay the price, or you can not develop it and you'll pay a higher price, living a life with very little influence. In the blue collar world, we call that sucking. Life will suck if you don't have a lot of influence. I think you probably know what I mean. Cause you a lot of frustration and irritation and anger, all kind of stuff that people who don't develop themselves have issues with. So let's dive in. The rest of this episode is going to be about, you hear me talking about AI, which I really probably won't say that too much, but I'm going to be talking about authentic influence. So I'll probably say it to be clear, because when we talk about two different AIs, it could be confusing. But the other AI we're rolling into now is authentic influence. And that's what I want to focus on for the remainder of this episode. The other AI that many within blue collar industries have overlooked for years, authentic influence. And there's also something I talk and speak about, artificial influence. That's another AI, but I ain't talking about that one too much. Maybe not at all. But that's the kind that comes with your position, title, and rank and all that stuff. I may say a little bit more about it, but talking about authentic influence. This is the authentic influence. This is the AI that changed my life for the better, personally and professionally. This is the AI authentic influence that will allow you to separate yourself from the masses of average as you strive to become exceptional. You can do that. Anybody can do that. Anybody can become exceptional. Leave the masses of average people behind. And it ain't even hard, because most people never going to do it. Some of you listening to this episode, maybe you listen to a lot of other episodes, you just listen. Listen ain't going to do it. You got to take action. Maybe you got to take some notes. You got to think on some stuff. You got to read some books. You got to watch some videos, listen to some podcasts like this. All that's good, but you got to act. You got to turn these things you're hearing into action. The authentic influence that is the AI that will increase your income at any level, at any age, within any industry. The AI authentic influence that will accelerate your climb up the corporate ladder into leadership roles, if you want to climb. Otherwise, it will help you excel right where you are. Some people, they don't want to climb. They're resistant to that. Not only are they resistant to change, they resistance to becoming a leader in a formal authority leadership role. You become a leader with authentic influence without having a formal title and position. That's what this episode's about. But you can also climb that corporate ladder and get put in or moved up into different leadership positions, formal authority leadership positions, after you really begin developing your authentic influence. The main thing to remember here is you will have the option. You ain't got to become a formal boss, but you can. You'll have options. And one option is to decline the offer. Another option is to accept the offer. You decide. It's your life. But what if the real key to thriving in 2026 and beyond lies in understanding the power of the other AI? And again, I'm talking about authentic influence. The kind that doesn't come with a title, doesn't come with rank, doesn't come with a position of authority. Doesn't care if you're the boss or you're not the boss. Because authentic influence must be earned. It can't be given. That's why it doesn't matter if you're a boss or not. Making somebody a boss gives them artificial influence that comes with a position, title, and rank, but it does not give them authentic influence. That's why anybody can have this, because you got to earn it. You got to develop it. Authentic influence not only makes you employable, but it also makes you highly valuable. Not only valuable, but essential. When high impact leaders who are focused on building high performance teams realize you have the capability and the desire to lead others from wherever you are, with or without a position of formal authority. What I'm referring to, what I'm talking about, is leading from the front lines in the various trades, manufacturing and warehouse environments, and the other wide variety of blue-collar jobs that keep our great nation going. All types of construction. But how do you leverage authentic influence? You intentionally and methodically learn to develop it. And here's the good news. Anyone at any level can do it. There's a reason I've said that over and over already in this episode. You need to know anyone at any level can do it. It's available to you. And you can do it for free. I ain't charging you to listen to this podcast. You can go to bluecollarleadership.com/download and read hundreds of pages of excerpts from my book. You can't read the whole book, but if you add up all those excerpts, there's hundreds of pages for free. You can go to the5typesofleaders.com. 5, the number 5, the5typesofleaders.com, and enroll and take a 2-hour online video course from me and my wife, Rhea. Comes with an 8-page downloadable workbook. At the end of it, when you complete it, you got to listen to every episode. It's 2 hours. They're 8 15-minute videos. You got to finish each video all the way through. When you get done, you'll get a certificate of completion for that course. It's all free, but you can put that in your resume. I just told you I got nearly 500 episodes on this podcast for free. I probably got 500 newsletters and articles on my LinkedIn account for free. I got my free excerpts from my books. I just told you where to find them. Got that free video course. Got a lot of stuff on the Blue Collar Leadership YouTube channel. Lots of videos. Be sure if you go there, check out the playlist. Yes, you can buy my books. You can enroll in paid online courses that we have. You can buy other people's books and do their stuff. You can pay if you want to. I'm just saying you ain't got to. What I'm doing, taking that excuse out of your hand if you were to think about making it. Anybody can do it. But let me tell you this. Luckily for you and for me, and I say luckily for us as individuals, because for the world, it ain't lucky. It's bad. But for us as individuals, it's good. And what am I getting at? Luckily for you and me, most people won't do it. Most people won't intentionally and methodically learn and develop themselves. It's easy to do it. However, it's easier not to do it. And that's what most people are going to do. They're going to take the easy road. Dale Carnegie had this to say. He said, influence is ultimately an outcropping of trust. The higher the trust, the greater the influence. And again, that's a quote from Dale Carnegie. So let's move into another focus here. Defining authentic influence. The other AI in leadership. Remember, you got artificial influence. That's the authority that comes with the title, position, and rank. No matter who's in that position, they're going to have that influence because they're the boss. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the other AI, authentic influence. And it's a fact. Authentic influence is based on trust. Trust consists of 2 primary components: character, who we are; competency, what we know. Numerous studies have revealed our character is responsible for 87 and 90% of our ability to build trust. And our competency is responsible for only 10 to 13%. You must develop your competency, but it's your character that will maximize or minimize your competency. When it comes to leveraging authentic influence, your character will launch you like a rocket or limit you like an anchor. When you develop authentic influence, primarily based on character-based principles that you've internalized, you will earn the right to lead others. 360 degrees from wherever you are. You can lead the boss. You can lead the boss's boss. You can lead the boss's peers. You can lead your peers. You can lead folks that report to you. You can lead people in your professional life and in your public life. The greater your authentic influence, the greater your freedom and options. You will always have more options when you can lead, which I define leadership as influence. So when I say lead or leadership, think influence. But you will always have more options when you can lead / influence people without a position, title, or rank. Why? Because your influence is real. It's authentic. People actually want to follow you. They don't have to follow you. Your influence is not tied to or related to a position of formal authority. It's based on who you are, moral authority, not what you are, somebody's boss, because you may not be somebody's boss. But if you are, it ain't got nothing to do with that. Moral authority is powerful. Your value is multiplied when you can lead without a position. I'm telling you this right now, positions are overrated. Developing authentic influence is underrated. Don't focus on becoming more successful, which is about most people seeking a position or seeking money. Focus on becoming more valuable, which means developing your character and your competency, and then taking action. Here's a quote from Andrew Carnegie. He says, "Success is always the result of an ordered life. An ordered life comes through organized thinking and carefully controlled habits." He's right. Let's talk about 3 traits to help you become indispensable and highly valuable. Be trustworthy. When you're seen as trustworthy, you're doing your part to build trust with your team. When people trust you, you tend to trust them because trust is a two-way street. The more you focus on developing your own character, the better qualified you'll be to motivate and inspire others to develop their character. You'll also be modeling a high degree of character, which will get the attention of high-impact leaders who are focused on building high-performance teams. Your authentic influence will increase with those high-impact leaders, and they can help you in a lot of ways. But without trust, there will be no authentic influence. If people don't trust you, they won't voluntarily follow you if they don't have to. Trust is a must when it comes to authentic influence. With trust, we always know. Without trust, we never know. The second trait here I want to talk to you about, be action-oriented. High-impact people follow those who aren't afraid to take action. Not just any action, but rather the right action at the right time, in the right way, for the right reason. That's what we're talking about, being very intentional. The degree that you're able to do this will determine your level of effectiveness. This trait builds additional trust, engages those team members who already trust you, generates results, which influences more people to trust you, and helps the organization as a whole accomplish the mission, which influences the leaders to trust you more. Leveraging this trait increases your authentic influence, not only with other high performers on your team, but also with the leaders, high impact leaders, who are on a mission to make things happen. Action today leads to opportunities tomorrow. So I talked to you about one of the traits, being trustworthy. Second one, be action oriented. The third one, be flexible. The third key trait to developing a high degree of authentic influence. As I shared at the start of this episode, change is coming. Share something else with you. Some will embrace it, but most will resist it. High impact players intentionally grow through change. In simple terms, they shine. Low impact players angrily go through change. In simple terms, they whine. If you want to develop a high degree of authentic influence with the leaders in your organization, embracing leveraging and leading change is one of the most impactful ways to do it. Your leaders will take all the help they can get, I promise you. And they won't forget those who help them. So when it comes to change and being flexible, shine, don't whine. When change happens, some thrive and some take a dive. Guess who's going to have a better life? Guess who's going to have more options, more freedom, more options in life? Those who thrive. Let me share this quote from Earl Schoaf. He says, one of the most frustrating experiences in life is looking for an above-average job with above-average pay without becoming an above-average person. Yeah, that's pretty powerful right there. Pretty powerful. So let's talk about how authentic influence enhances your value in blue-collar industries. Employability. Those who are trustworthy get results by taking action and adapt easily to change are highly valuable and highly sought-after employees. Whether they're working on the front lines, driving from site to site, managing crews from a mobile office, which is a truck most often, or back at the headquarters in a real office, sought-after employees at all levels have many more options than those who choose to remain common employees. Strive to become a sought-after employee. The more authentic influence you have, the more sought-after you'll be. Let's talk about retention. High-impact leaders know the high-impact team players on their teams have a lot of authentic influence. They don't want them to go, so they help them grow. High-impact leaders will be depending on those with the most influence to help them retain the best on their team. These leaders also know that those with authentic influence are the most valuable on their team. Who we are is who we attract. High-impact leaders attract high-impact players. Together, they build high-performance teams. If your leader isn't growing and developing you, grow and develop yourself. Ultimately, you are responsible for your own growth and development. Do enough growing, and you'll attract high-impact leaders who want to develop you, who want to pay you well, who want to keep you on their team. In life, it's like this. You're either growing or slowing because there's people out there growing. And if they're growing and you're not, you're slowing. Stephen M.R. Covey, author of The Speed of Trust, says this: the cost of turnover to a company can be enormous, ranging from 25% to 250% of pay to replace an exiting worker. It costs a lot of money when somebody leaves. That's why people want to keep you. If you're a high-impact team player, high-impact leader. Let's talk about career advancement. Those who intentionally and methodically choose to develop a high degree of authentic influence will rise to the top of the corporate ladder and the top of the corporate pay scale, as I've already said. Because they have a high degree of authentic influence, they'll have options others don't have. They'll be able to climb internally or externally. They'll be able to chart their own course. They'll experience what others can only dream about, what I want you to have, what I want, what I've got, freedom and options. And let me just say this. If you hate weekdays, stop goofing off on weeknights and weekends. If you're not willing to pay the price to live the life you want, you will pay the higher price of living a life you don't want. Jim Rohn had this to say. He says, the only thing worse than not reading a book in the last 90 days is not reading a book in the last 90 days and thinking that it doesn't matter. And if you know me and you've been listening long enough, you know I've been reading every day since 2008. 18 years of daily reading. So I want to share a list of books for you here. And let me say this is another quote from Tom Peters. He said, if I read a book that costs me $20 and I get one good idea, I've gotten one of the greatest bargains of all time. And I know that. That's why I pay $20 for a book all day, because most of the books I buy, they're full of golden nuggets. One of those nuggets is worth $20 in my life because I want to become a person with a high degree of authentic influence. I'm always learning and growing. But I want to share with you some of mine and Rhea's books. Most of them are going to be mine that can help you develop a high degree of authentic influence. I ain't going to tell you all about the book. I just want to tell you the titles. Defining influence, increasing your influence, increases your options. That's a deep dive into the fundamental elements needed to develop authentic influence. Ria's got a great book titled The Ladder of Influence, 5 Steps for Climbing to the Next Level and Beyond, which is really about how to intentionally and methodically develop authentic influence at work and at home. Then I got 3 books in my Blue Collar Leadership series I want to tell you about. Blue Collar Leadership, Leading from the Front Lines, How to Become a High Impact Individual. Blue Collar Leadership and Teamwork, 30 Traits of High Impact Players, How to Become a High Impact Team Player. And Blue Collar Leadership and Supervision, Unleash Your Team's Potential, How to Lead High Impact Individuals and High Impact Team Players as a High Impact Leader. Then I also have a book called 10 Values of High Impact Leaders, which is really focused on how to become a high impact leader. I got 2 more things for you. The next one is a book Rhea and I wrote together. Change Happens, Leading Yourself and Others Through Change, which is how to maximize your influence when change happens. You can leverage it, man, because most people are resisting change. You learn how to embrace it, you're going to skyrocket. And then I shared with you about the online video course. I just want to wrap up with that. The 5 Types of Leaders.com, the number 5, the 5 Types of Leaders. That's the name of the course. Discover what type of leader you are and what type of leaders you report to or have reported to. And again, that's a 2-hour online free course. And the books I told you about, go to bluecollarleadership.com/download. And most of those books you can read about 15 or 20 pages. The first 15 or 20 pages of most of those books. Defining Influence, I think, is 20 pages from chapter 9 or 11 or something like that. I forget. It's kind of out of the middle of the book. Really focused on leadership in that excerpt. But go check it out. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.